welcome to the Green Room. I'm Barbara Lucas with the Washtenaw County Environmental Health Division, and as part of our ongoing environmental education efforts, we sometimes collaborate with the Clean Energy Coalition in Ypsilanti, Michigan. Their mission is devoted to helping people decrease their use of fossil fuels. And as part of that, they've created the Energy Outlet, which is a really interesting store. You go in, they've got all these cutting-edge products for helping you to decrease your energy use around the house. And Deb Heed is the manager there, and she's great at showing you all the different products and helping you figure out which are best for you in your particular needs. And today we're going to have her talk about lighting. There's so much out there. We just need a little help trying to figure out what are the best ways to go. Deb, why should we think about lighting?
Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me to be on the show today. And lighting is really one of the easiest and most cost-effective ways to decrease your energy use in your own home or in your business. But I changed out my light bulbs about 1.5 years ago in my whole house. I did it all at once, and our electric bill year over year dropped 20% over the course of 1 month.
That's great. So is that the #1 thing we should worry about in terms of energy conservation in our home?
Well, actually, the #1 use of everyone's energy use in their home is heating and cooling. It generally accounts for 40 to 60% of most homes' energy use. So really that's the place that you can make the biggest impact. And one way to check into your heating and cooling use is to actually do what's called a home energy audit. And that's something that the Clean Energy Coalition does.
Yes, as a matter of fact, we did a video on one of your audits. We followed Sean Reed, who was doing an audit of a home here in Ann Arbor. And we're going to show the intro to that because it'll help us get a feel for all the different things to assess and analyze when you're going to be targeting energy conservation in the home.
We all want to do what we can to prevent high energy cost, climate change, pollution, and struggles for scarce resources. For years, we've focused on cars as both the culprit and the solution. But we've overlooked a place where we can make a huge difference now. Where? Our homes. Houses and buildings are the single largest contributor to global warming, accounting for almost half of U.S. energy consumption and carbon dioxide emissions. A big reason for this is that Americans spend 90% of their time inside, and it takes a lot of energy to power up this indoor lifestyle. Studies show that when it comes to generating greenhouse gases, the average American house is equal to 2 cars. There are over 100 million homes in America, and we all could increase our home's efficiency and reduce our bills by 25 to 50%. What are we waiting for? The Williams family of Ann Arbor, Michigan decided it was time to take action to reduce the carbon footprint of their home. They received an energy audit from Sean Reed of the Clean Energy Coalition. Sean did many different tests to assess the energy use of their home.
Now, this is a fan. It's going to depressurize the house. We're going to take the air that's inside the house and run it through the fan. It's going to allow us to find the different leakage sites around the house. We'll also be able to come up with a calculation that tells us, exactly how leaky the house is under average conditions.
Sean analyzed the data he collected and then gave the Williams family a report of their energy usage. Their utility bills average $4,600 a year.
We're looking at knocking that down to $2,000 for a savings of $25.55 a year.
So the video lets us know that we really need to think about heating and cooling, reducing our use of hot water, upgrading our appliances. But those things are going to have to wait for another day because today Deb's going to be talking to us about lighting. Deb, can you just give us some of the basics of how we can decrease our electricity bill in terms of lighting?
Absolutely. The easiest place to start is actually to look at replacing your use of a light switch with actually letting in more daylight. So that's a completely free way of taking advantage of using less energy. So whether it's opening your shades in the morning or going as far as installing skylights or solar tubes in your home to allow in more daylight, that's a great place to start.
So using sunlight, that's free, that's pretty simple. Just turning off the lights, that sounds simple enough, but boy, do we have a hard time remembering that in the house.
Absolutely. So it's something that my mother always told me to do, is turn off the lights when you leave the room, and some of us forget more than others. So they're actually really, there's a pretty easy solution for that. It's replacing your light switch with a motion sensor, and this is actually what they look like. And what it does is that when someone walks in the room or out of the room, you could, the light will turn on or off based on what time you set it for. So it could be 30 seconds, it could be 3 minutes, it could be as long or as short as you need it to be. But that way you don't have to worry about turning the lights on and off if you have someone in the house that has trouble with that.
And if I don't want to wire, is there a way to get a plug-in nightlight motion sensor? Or?
Absolutely. There are all sorts of really great new appliances, little light switches that you can plug in. You can use battery-operated ones on the ceiling of your closet. They're all out there. If you spend some time in your local hardware store, I bet you will find all sorts of great gadgets that are that have motion sensors that will turn on and off as you open and close a door. Really excellent products.
Well, sometimes I don't want a motion sensor. For instance, in my front porch, I'd like that on all night for security, but I have a hard time remembering to turn it off.
Sure. So you're not the only one, first of all. I know that I've left my light on all day. And so there are some options with that. Either you can look into getting a fixture that has what's called a photocell. And photocells, what they do is they track how much sunlight is out. So when the sun goes down, then the light goes up. And when the sun goes back up, then the light comes back down. So you can either get a whole entire new fixture with a photocell that's attached, or you can also, there are now CFL light bulbs that have photocells built in so that the light bulb will turn on as it gets dark out, just because it's got the photocell in the bulb itself.
Okay, and how about, for instance, I have a fixture above my dining room that I really like. I don't want to change it, but it's got 6 bulbs, and that's more than we need just for mood lighting in our dining room. Is there a solution for that?
Well, the good old-fashioned dimmer switch always works well, especially if you have bulbs. You need to make sure that the bulbs that you choose in the fixtures that you have dimmer switches are dimmable bulbs. So that's the only trick.
But that'll say it on the package, right? Dimmable. Just look for that, dimmable. Okay.
Exactly.
All right. So you've gone over ways to turn off lights or dim them. What about getting a bulb that's low wattage? When I go into the store, there's just so many options for low wattage bulbs.
Sure. So just to take a step back, there are several different kinds of bulbs that are available right now in stores. So the one that we grew up with, and the one that we're used to, is called an incandescent bulb, and that's just your standard normal bulb. And then that bulb in particular is an excellent producer of heat. About 90% of the energy that goes into lighting an incandescent bulb actually goes into creating heat, and only 10% of it actually goes into creating light.
Wow,
so
what a waste.
Yeah, so what's happened over the last 10 or 15 years is that they've designed new light bulbs called compact fluorescent light bulbs that actually spend much more of their energy on creating the light, so they can actually provide as much light for much less energy. So they actually only use about 1/4, 25% of the energy that a normal incandescent bulb uses. So going into the store, just knowing that you're walking in, if you purchase a CFL light bulb and you put it into your fixture, that you'll be using only 25% of the electricity that you would if you continued to use an incandescent bulb.
That's really great. I have a few issues with some of the CFLs. Maybe you can help me out that I've been using in my home. For instance, I got a 12-pack, and I went in and put them all over my ceilings and on all my table lamps and everything, and they work great for the ceilings, but the table lamps seem kind of dim.
So the way that CFL works is that they actually have labeled on the boxes, they actually have different levels, just like incandescent bulbs. You buy a 100-watt bulb for your reading lamp, where you might put a 60-watt bulb in your overhead lamp. So So they have the same kind of thing. They do equivalents. So these bulbs right here are equivalent to a 100-watt light bulb. This set right here is equivalent to a 75-watt and equivalent to a 60-watt. So if you look at the box, the same way you would look at the box for an incandescent bulb, you'll find the level of lighting that you need for your particular fixture.
So probably I need to upgrade my reading lamps to 100-watt equivalents. Okay. And sometimes I have issues with the spiral shapes. Like when I look up at my recessed lights, I don't like to see the spirals of the CFLs. Do you have suggestions for that?
Absolutely. CFLs now come in all different shapes and sizes. They come in dimmable bulbs. They come in the normal looking A lamp, they call them bulbs. They come in recessed light, track lighting shapes. They come in outdoor versions, indoor versions. They really have come a long way in terms of your choices.
So I can get a round one that has the spiral on the inside, you're saying?
Yeah, that's how those actually work. Is they come in different shapes, and they're even the like globe vanity lights that you think of over your bathroom, and they all basically what they are is it's just a glass encasement of that same spiral shape that you're used to seeing. It's just inside of a glass globe.
So that would be good for, I have a lampshade that fits on a round bulb, so I could buy that. Okay, great. Another thing that's been a little iffy is some of them are cast kind of a bluish tone, which I'm not too keen on.
Sure. So, so one thing that you'll find when you go into the store and you see all the different lights, CFL lights to choose from, some will say cool white, some will say warm light, some will say natural light or daylight. The light that we're most used to and the one that's closest to an incandescent bulb is warm white. So that's the one that I suggest for most people when they're looking at their home. Now, if you have another fixture where you're looking for really really clear or bluish even light to be able to see something better, whether it's task lighting or a reading light, or maybe it's something over your vanity or whatever, then you might want to consider a cool white or a daylight bulb. So they do come in different colors.
Okay. I've seen soft white. Is that the same thing as warm?
Yes,
Okay.
actually.
Okay.
Warm and soft white are
Okay.
the same color.
All right, I'll look for those next time. So it sounds like these CFLs are really a lot of options. Can I just take CFLs and put them in any of my fixtures that were made for incandescence?
Well, CFLs have their strengths, and they also have a couple of places where they don't work as well. So if you have a fixture like in a closet or in a maybe even what are some other places that you would turn it on and off frequently? Well, here's the thing: the CFLs will last you a lot longer. They will work a lot better if you turn them on and leave them on for a length of time. If it's a fixture or it's a room where you're turning the light on and off quite frequently, it's not going to give you the same kind of energy efficiency, and it's probably not going to last as long as it would if you had it in a situation where you turn it on and leave it on for a while. So CFLs do best in the longer term lighting.
Now, but they have the screw base, so if my incandescent fixture has a screw, then I can put screw base, then I can put any fluorescent that has a screw base, right?
Absolutely.
Because I've seen some fluorescents that have these pins, so I just got to avoid those, right?
Yeah, it's where things are going with lighting fixtures. Energy Star has lighting fixtures. So Energy Star is this division of the EPA, and they now put their labels on everything, the blue star that you see on appliances, light bulbs, fixtures, all over the place. And so what they've created with lighting fixtures is that the Energy Star fixtures are ones where they're designed to only accept energy efficient light bulbs. So those bulbs that you see with the pin bottoms that are CFLs are actually intended for fixtures that are just meant for energy efficient fixtures. So if you go out and you buy an Energy Star fixture, it may very well need the pin base. If you just put an Energy Star light bulb or a CFL light bulb into a regular fixture, that fixture is going to save you just as much energy, just because of the bulb that you put in it.
Well, that's good to know, because I've been struggling. I've seen a fixture that I really like, but I didn't want to get it because I really wanted to get Energy Star, do the right thing for the environment. But if you're telling me that I could put fluorescent in there, okay, great. Now, the problem some people talk about is mercury in these fluorescent bulbs. Is that a concern enough that we shouldn't be buying them?
Well, CFLs do, in fact, have a little bit of mercury. In fact, each bulb has this amount the size of the head of a pin, which I think is a lot less than most people assume is actually what's in them. And if you don't break your bulb and if you recycle it at the end of its life, then that mercury will never be exposed into the environment. Just the difference between using a CFL bulb over the course of its lifetime versus using incandescent bulbs, and that increase of energy, that 75% more energy that you use by using incandescent bulbs, actually increases the amount of mercury that goes into the environment by 3 times, just because of the extra energy that you demand by using incandescent bulbs. So if you use less energy with CFLs, then you will be exposing the environment to 3 times less mercury than you would if you used incandescents.
Wow. So it sounds like there's absolutely no reason not to buy them for that reason. And well, I guess we just need to find out where to recycle them properly in our community.
And you can go to your website and just Google recycling CFLs, and you'll find probably several places locally that you'll be able to recycle them.
I guess we do need to remember, don't throw them in our trash, because
Absolutely.
they'll probably break either in our trash can or in the
So
trash
if you
truck.
do put a CFL into the trash can, or you do break it, then the mercury does get exposed into the environment. And there are actually is on the Energy Star website, there are directions on what to do in those cases, and it's not called a hazmat team, and it's not, you know, a giant deal. It's actually pretty simple instructions, and once you follow them, you know what to do. Most of us don't ever have a need to even follow those directions because they don't break that easily. They're pretty tough.
Okay, good. Well, it sounds like there's no reason not to buy them. I am just wondering, there is one place in my house where I haven't been able to find a CFL. It's a one of those flame-shaped candelabra bulbs. Are there options for those?
Well, actually, the way that CFLs work is because of that spiral that's inside the glass, the torpedo shape, that's what they call it, that you would put in a chandelier, has to end up being a lot bigger than a normal incandescent bulb that you would expect to be able to fit in that chandelier. So a lot of times those CFL version of that bulb doesn't fit. So actually we carry at the Energy Outlet several different versions of torpedo bulbs that come in LEDs. And the LEDs actually are equivalent to a 15-watt bulb. They only use 3 watts. There's no mercury in them whatsoever. So LED really is the way that we see lighting going in the longer term. Again, there are advantages and disadvantages to CFLs and LEDs, but there are definitely more and more uses of LED that's coming into the market now. The price is dropping and the quality is increasing.
And I've heard they last a long time, right?
Absolutely. So for example, if you were to put an incandescent bulb into a fixture, it would probably last 1,000 hours or so. And then if you were to use a CFL on that same fixture, it would last 5 to 10 times as long. And then the amazing thing is the CFL lasts so long, but then if you were to put an LED in that same fixture, LEDs actually last 5 times as long as a CFL does. So the lifespan of an LED bulb can be 10 to 20 years depending on how often you use it.
Wow, that's a good value. But I have heard that sometimes you can get an LED that blows out easily. Any advice on that?
Well, you know, right now the LED market is definitely growing by leaps and bounds, and there are a lot of companies that will be in for the long haul, and there are some companies that won't. So my suggestion for purchasing LEDs would be to go with a company that you know, and to purchase LEDs that actually have a 2 to 3 year warranty. That's pretty typical for the companies, even though they last so long. The best warranties out there that I've seen have been 2 to 3 years.
Okay, I'll look for that.
And make sure it's a name brand that you know.
Great. Well, I'm totally convinced. I'm totally inspired. I'm going to change over my lights, but I have this small problem. I have a hard time throwing away things that have life in them. What about throwing away my incandescents?
Yeah, I had a trouble with that too when I changed out my light bulbs. I really debated over whether or not I wanted to throw them out, whether I wanted to donate them to charity, whether I wanted to, what I wanted to do with my own light bulbs. And part of it was because they worked perfectly fine. And part of it was because I had trouble with landfill issues and those kinds of things. So those were some of the things that I was debating in my own mind. But what I came to realize is that, first of all, the landfill issue, they use so little space when they go into landfill. It really doesn't take up a lot of space. And the other issue about being perfectly usable is that it's a perfectly good bulb that's going to increase the energy usage somewhere in somebody's fixture, and I'd much rather to take that out of the environment completely as opposed to passing it down so that somebody else can use the energy that I just stopped using. Good
point. All right, so that's really a great summary. I feel like I've just cleared up a whole lot of confusion, and I really appreciate it, Deb, that you've been so kind as to show us these different products. Tell us where we can get more information.
Absolutely. So there are a couple different places where you can learn more about lighting. First is the Energy Star website, and that's at www.energystar.gov. Second place you can look is you can check out our website, the Clean Energy Coalition, our store, the Energy Outlet, www.energyoutlet.org. And then you can also go to Washtenaw County's website and find out more there.
Okay, yeah, that website is www.ewashtenaw.org/home-energy. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us here today in the Green Room.